Hey everybody, how are you doing today? Welcome to this video. This is the video for Module 25 for Business Math and Calculators. This video or this module has to do with percent increase and percent decrease. So we're going to go through several example problems. So with that, I will share my screen and we will go ahead and start the examples. All right, so we're going to talk about percent increase and percent decrease. So let's go ahead and start with the first sample problem. So in this problem, 600 is increased by 25%. What is the new number? Now, the key to think about when you are working with increase or decrease in percent is that the original amount is represented by 100%. All right, so what that means is if you're going to increase or decrease, we have to start with 100% and then either add or subtract to that value to figure out what percent we actually need to use in the problem when we do the math. So since this is an increase in percent, what we're going to do is we're going to start with 100 and we're going to add 25% to that. So the actual percentage that we are trying to find is 125%. Now, 600 is increased by the 125%. So what we're going to do is we're going to take and multiply 1.25, which is 125% converted to a decimal, times the 600. Now, once you get the problem set up, it's just a matter of doing some multiplication in this case. And so the result is 750. So when 600 is increased, it makes sense that our answer is going to be bigger than what we started with. And again, it's bigger by 25%. So there is our solution. So again, when you increase in percent, you start with 100% and you add to that and then use that new percentage to do your calculation. All right, next example problem. This time, let's do a decrease. So a number is decreased by 25%. The result is 2,250. What is the original number? So again, we have to think about what's happening. We are starting with 100%. The original number is represented by 100%. We're going to decrease by 25. So we're going to start by subtracting from the 100%. So the percent we're actually going to use in our problem is 75%. Now, again, the trick with these problems is setting up the equation that we're going to solve. Now, we're going to take 75% times the original amount, but we don't know what that is, so that's where our variable shows up in this problem. The result then is the 2,250. So this time we have a little mini equation to solve. We have to divide both sides by the 0.75. When we do that, x ends up equaling 3,000. So again, if you think about the nature of the problem, the number, the 3,000 in this case, is decreased by 25%. So it makes sense that the result would be smaller than that. So the answer does seem to make sense in the context of this problem. All right, now let's continue to talk about increase and decrease in percent. But this time what we're going to do is we want to find the percent increase. So 800 is increased to 900. What is the percent increase? So what we need to do is we need to set up our problem. So we don't know what the percent is, so that's going to be our variable this time. And again, you always do the percent of the original amount to equal the new amount. So that's why we have x times 800 equals 900. We have a mini equation to solve here, so we have to divide both sides by 800, and when we do that, we get 1.125. Now, that's the decimal version. Remember, we're trying to figure out what the percent is, so we're going to convert that to a percent by moving the decimal point 2 spaces to the right, and so that gets us 112.5%. Now, that's the overall percent. If we want to find just the increase portion of that, remember the original amount is always 100%. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our answer and we're going to subtract 100% off of that. So the actual increase is the 12.5%. All right. So again, always think about the fact that the original amount represented by 100%, and then the increase or decrease is either added or subtracted from the 100% in your problem. So in this case, because 800 got bigger, it makes sense that it's an increase of 12.5%. All right, finally, let's do a word problem where we are applying this idea of increase and decrease in percent. So it says during a rough week on the stock market, the value of a particular stock decreased by 20%. If the initial value was $82 per share, what was the final value after the decrease? So again, think about the fact that this is a decrease in percent. So we're going to start with our 100% and subtract off the percent decrease. So 100% minus 20% gets us 80%. That's the value we want to use in our equation. We always multiply our percent in decimal form times the original amount. The original amount was $82 per share. So we're going to take 0.80 times 82. And when we do that, we end up with an answer of 65.60. In the context of our problem, our answers are dealing with money and dealing with dollars. So what this tells us is that the value after the decrease was $65.60. Thinking about the context of the problem, it makes sense that our final answer is smaller than $82 since the original amount decreased after the rough week on the stock market. So the context seems to make sense and our answer seems reasonable. So there you go. There's an example of working with a decrease in percent in the context of a word problem. Alrighty, so a couple quick examples there for you dealing with increase and decrease in percent. I hope the examples are helpful to you. If you do need help, I know increase and decrease in percent problems can be kind of tricky. Again, trying to figure out what percent you actually use when you do the math can be a challenge at times. So please do not hesitate to ask or reach out with any questions that you have. I am happy to help you out. We want to make sure you're good to go on these kinds of problems. We do a lot of problems in this class that involve percentages. And so we want to make sure that your understanding of this is taken care of early on here. So again, please let me know if there's anything I can do to help. Thanks for watching the video, and I will catch you in the next video.